For years, I have struggled to find another stock plugin that has made my beats sound better than this one right here. And I am talking about the adaptive limiter. And before you say, here we go, another guy just telling me to just slap another limiter on my beats, this video is actually going to break down how to use the limiter to find issues with your mix and overall just build character with your beats. Better mix equals higher quality beats equals more people use your beats. If you are not a Logic Pro user, there are a million alternatives to this plugin that can achieve the same result. Before we jump into how to use the limiter, I just want to play this beat that I have so you can hear how it sounds with nothing applied. This beat on its own sounds pretty good mixed already, so what I want to do is go to my stereo out track, select one of these slots and go to Dynamics, Adaptive Limiter, Stereo. Before we get into all this, I just want to talk about what the limiter does. To summarize for you, the adaptive limiter is going to do 4 things for you. It's going to help balance volume levels, going to add saturation, make your drums hit a little bit harder. It's also going to help you identify issues with your mix. So what I would do with the adaptive limiter activated now is just go to a part of your beat where the most instruments are playing, whether that's a drop, a hook, a bridge. Before I break this down, I'm just going to hit play as is, and so you can hear how this sounds with the limiter applied. Turn that off. Turn that back on. So obviously you can hear an increase in the overall volume of the beat when that is applied, and that's really just because of this gain knob here. All right, so let's break this down. What are we looking at with the limiter? What I'm gonna do is just decrease the gain to 0 because we're gonna work with that last. So the out ceiling knob is really just gonna control, again, that output level. To be honest, I don't usually mess with this too much. I usually keep it around -0.1, and then look ahead I usually just set right to optimal, and basically what this is going to do is it's going to look how far ahead in the beat that it's going to process the input signals. We're really getting scientific here, but I would honestly just go with the optimal look ahead options. It's very easy, just click here, set that to 20 milliseconds. But just to show you the difference here, if I had the look ahead at 20 as opposed to 200, the sounds of my beat will be a lot more punchy, including my drums, anything like that. So if I increase this look ahead, now let's go all the way to 200. Back down. The drums sound way more punchy when this is at 20, so that's kind of the effect that I'm going for with this limiter, so I'm going to keep it there. Usually the safe bet is just keeping this remove DC offset button on. It really just applies a high pass filter to the sound so that it's going to eliminate some of those damaging frequencies. True peak detection, I almost always have that off. And so again, you can just work with these options and mess around and see how different things sound until I find something that works for my specific beat. And finally, as promised, the last thing we're gonna get to is the gain. So what gain is gonna do is just increase the overall volume of your beat. But let's say I just worked my way up, you can hear the effect come into play. So obviously the gain is going up and so is the volume. That is really just going to control the master output volume. And what oftentimes I do during this process is go find a reference track or another beat that fits the same vibe as this one, and then kind of compare and see where the volumes stand. So let's say my beat is way too quiet compared to a reference track. I know that I can just increase this gain until it finds a very similar level. You can also basically exaggerate the effect of the limiter on the beat just by increasing the gain. Make sure just not to blow up your speakers. And what this is also teaching me is that if I increase this gain a little bit, put it at 1.5 for now, and I'm just gonna listen to see if there's any parts of my beat, such as the drums or the melodies or the bass, anything that's really standing out and just mushing together. I wanna identify that quickly. So I'm gonna turn that snare down just slightly, and then I think the bass and the kick can also be brought down slightly. And there's a lot going on. This is a very busy melody in this particular beat, but overall I think the balancing sounds pretty good. Honestly, the magic happens when you export your beat and you finally hear what this sounds like. If I had this completely mixed and then without a limiter, and I bounce that, it's gonna sound a lot different than with the limiter attached. The one with the limiter is gonna have way more character, it's gonna be hitting a lot harder. If I exported my beat without the limiter, it's really just gonna be a straight raw mix. So again, the adaptive limiter helps identify clashing, and the biggest thing is that it is a great reference for how things sound in the end. And what I mean by that is eventually all music gets mixed and mastered and goes through some sort of limiting. This kind of gives you a little bit of a preview and allows you to go back to the mix to make adjustments. The key is not to double down and push the limiter like crazy. Like if I really went crazy with this gain, you know, I run the risk of just basically ruining the beat. Very lightly using this adaptive limiter, I can apply some dynamics, build some more character, add some saturation, just makes the beat sound a lot better. My last note that I want to call out is adding the adaptive limiter will increase latency. Audio latency is just the delay between when a note is created and when you see it or hear it. That means if you plan to record or play any new instruments on top of your beat, make sure to turn off this limiter so that your input is not delayed. And finally, just remember, do not go crazy with the gain. If you do, you'll run the risk of basically turning your beat into mush, and nobody likes mush. Use this adaptive limiter to learn more about your mix, how it sounds in its final stages, and to quickly add character to your beats. And I've actually had people in person tell me how much better one mix sounds to another when I ask them. Again, the higher quality beats, the more people want to use them. So give this a shot in your next beat. Thank you guys for tuning in this quick video. I hope it helped you. But like always, keep making music, keep it simple, have a good day, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.